Put Your Dream to the Test. 10 Questions to Help You See It and Seize It, by John C. Maxwell. Picture a young boy in a small Austrian town, caught between two futures that aren't his own. His father, the town's police chief, has already mapped out his life. Follow in my footsteps, become a cop, nice and safe. Meanwhile, his mother eyes his hands and thinks carpenter, something practical for a kid who's not exactly setting the classroom on fire. So the boy Arnold gives it a shot. He enrolls in carpentry school, but his heart's just not feeling it. There's this gnawing hunger inside him to be the absolute best at something, but that something remains frustratingly out of reach. He spends 5 years chasing a soccer ball around, but there's no spark, no fire in his belly. Then one day changes everything. His coach tells the team to hit the gym and lift some weights. Arnold walks into this cramped, sweaty room filled with these godlike figures pumping iron, and suddenly everything clicks into place. He sees his answer, his solid ground. At 14 years old, Arnold Schwarzenegger discovered his calling. A few months later, he's flipping through a magazine and sees this bodybuilder, a Mr. Universe champion, playing Hercules on the silver screen. Lightning strikes. That's the blueprint right there. Win Mr. Universe, break into movies, get rich, done. His parents couldn't wrap their heads around it. His friends figured he'd lost his mind. But Arnold? He didn't care what anyone thought. He'd found something that belonged completely to him. A dream that lit his soul on fire from the inside out. And that moment right there is where everything begins. Today, we're diving into a book that serves as your personal blueprint for dreams. It's called Put Your Dream to the Test, by leadership guru John C. Maxwell. This isn't some fluffy book about making wishes on stars. It's a practical guide that's helped millions of people examine their own ambitions and secret hopes, asking the tough questions that separate fleeting fantasies from life-changing destinies. By the time we're done, you'll have 10 powerful questions acting as your life compass. These aren't just boxes to check off. They're deep, soul-searching questions that'll help you figure out if the dream you're clutching is one you can actually build a life around. Whether you're dreaming of launching a business, becoming an artist, or changing the world, these questions will give you the clarity and confidence to not just see your dream, but to grab it with both hands and make it real. Let's dive in. So what exactly is a dream? According to John Maxwell, it's definitely not some random daydream you have while staring out the window during a boring lecture. It's not some disconnected fantasy floating around in the clouds. A real dream is this inspiring picture of the future that lights up your mind, your willpower, and your emotions. It energizes you to do whatever it takes to make it happen. It's that seed of possibility, calling you down your own unique path. But here's where most of us get stuck. We've got these vague ideas, these little whispers about what we'd like to do someday, but we're terrified to say them out loud. We're worried people will laugh at us. We don't know if we're aiming ridiculously high or maybe embarrassingly low. We have absolutely no clue how to get from where we're standing right now to that incredible future we keep imagining. That's exactly where the test comes in. And the very first question, the foundation everything else is built on, is the ownership question. Is my dream really my dream? This sounds almost too simple, but it's actually one of the biggest obstacles we face. Think back to young Arnold. His father dreamed of a policeman's son. His mother imagined a carpenter. These were their dreams for him, not his dreams for himself. And it's incredibly easy, especially when you're young, to absorb other people's dreams like a sponge. You see yourself through your parents' eyes. You crave their approval. You follow a path reflecting their desires instead of your own. How many people suffer through law school just to make their parents proud? How many grab a safe job instead of chasing art or music? Maxwell points out that whenever you see someone having a midlife crisis, making some dramatic career change in their 40s, You can bet they spent the first half of their life living someone else's dream. A dream that isn't truly yours feels like dead weight on your shoulders. It drains your energy tank empty. It puts you to sleep at night instead of waking you up. But when you genuinely own your dream, it feels right deep in your bones. It gives your spirit wings. It fires you up and keeps you buzzing with possibility way past bedtime. Arnold's dream to become the world's greatest bodybuilder seemed bizarre to everyone around him. His family couldn't comprehend it for a second. It was such an unpopular sport back then. But it was his, completely and totally. And because he owned it, he poured every single ounce of his energy into making it real. He worked out for hours every day, 6 days a week. And even after he became Mr. Universe, even after Hollywood stardom and becoming California's governor, it all traced back to that moment when he took ownership of a vision nobody else understood. You simply cannot achieve a dream you don't own. It's the master key that unlocks everything else. So you've got to ask yourself honestly, is the future I'm imagining shaped by who my parents think I am, by who my friends think I am? Or is it actually a reflection of who I truly am and who I'm meant to become? Once you're absolutely sure the dream belongs to you, you face the next critical challenge, the clarity question. Do I clearly see my dream? A fuzzy dream gets you absolutely nowhere. It's like deciding you want to take a road trip out west somewhere. You could drive around aimlessly for weeks and never find what you're looking for. But if you say, I want to see the Grand Canyon, then drive to Los Angeles to see the Hollywood sign, and finish up on the beach in Santa Monica, suddenly you've got real destinations. You can actually map out a route. You absolutely must define your dream before you can chase it down. One of the primary reasons people don't get what they want is shockingly simple. They don't actually know what they want in clear, compelling detail. Maxwell shares this fantastic story about a guy named Mike Hyatt. Back in the year 2000, Mike took over a book publishing division that was an absolute disaster. It was the least profitable division in the entire company, losing money hand over fist, revenue completely flat. Everyone was overworked, exhausted, burnt out. Total mess. Now, most people would immediately jump into problem-solving mode. How do we fix this thing? But Mike knew better. He understood that if you focus on the how too early, you actually limit your vision. You start obsessing over all the problems and resources you don't have, and you end up shrinking your dream to fit your current reality. So what did Mike do instead? He went on a solo retreat, armed with nothing but a pen and a journal. His only goal was getting crystal clear on his vision. He didn't waste time thinking about the how. He allowed himself to imagine the perfect future without limitations. He wrote down a 10-point vision statement in the present tense. It wasn't vague nonsense like, let's be successful. It was incredibly, almost uncomfortably specific. We have 10 franchise authors whose new books sell at least 100,000 copies in the first 12 months. We place at least 4 books a year on the New York Times bestsellers list. We are the fastest-growing, most profitable division in our company. It was bold, audacious, maybe even crazy, but it was crystal clear. When he shared this vision with his exhausted team, something magical happened. Because it was so clear and compelling, they could actually see it too. They got excited. People started asking, how are we going to pull this off? And at first, his answer was simply, I'm honestly not sure yet, but I'm completely confident it's going to happen. Just watch. He kept that vision right in front of himself and his team every single day, and as they stayed focused on the, quote, what, a strategy, the how, gradually emerged. He expected the whole process to take 3 years. They achieved almost every single part of that vision in just 18 months. If you've got a clear vision, you'll eventually attract the right strategy. If you don't have a clear vision, no strategy in the world will save you. So here's the test. Can you describe your dream in a single sentence? Have you actually written it down with specific measurable details? A clear dream transforms a general idea into something specific. It turns, I want to lose weight, into, I will weigh 185 pounds by June 1st. Clarity gives you an actual target to aim for. But even with a clear dream that genuinely belongs to you, there's still a dangerous trap lurking. One that catches tons of people. This brings us to the reality question. Am I depending on factors within my control to achieve my dream? This is where dreams crash into the real world. Many of us have been fed the line, if you can believe it, you can achieve it. Sounds inspiring, right? But Maxwell calls it exactly what it is. Complete nonsense. You can't achieve any goal just by believing in it hard enough. You can't flap your arms and fly, no matter how desperately you want to. A dream that completely ignores reality is just a fantasy dressed up in nice clothes. Think about those auditions for shows like American Idol. You see people who are passionately, intensely committed to their dream of becoming a singer. They believe in themselves with every fiber of their being, but they genuinely can't sing. Zero talent. Their dream and their reality have never even been introduced to each other. They're depending entirely on luck, on judges magically changing their minds, on factors completely outside their control. Contrast that with a young musician named Andy Hull. Andy loved music from the time he was tiny. He was singing before he could even talk properly. He taught himself guitar. He was constantly writing songs. He had natural, God-given talent. But talent alone wasn't nearly enough. When he decided to pursue music as a career instead of finishing high school the traditional way, his dad asked a simple but profound question: "What's your plan?" Andy didn't just sit around hoping for some magical record deal to fall from the sky. He created an actual strategy. He homeschooled himself to free up more time for music. He formed a band. He raised money. He learned the music business inside and out, and decided he wanted to own his own record label, not just get signed to someone else's. He built his dream on his strengths, his natural talent for music, and on his actions, his relentless hard work and strategic thinking. He focused laser-like on what he could actually control. Today his band, Manchester Orchestra, is genuinely successful, and his record label has signed other talented artists. He built his dream on a solid foundation of reality. Maxwell makes it crystal clear: shallow people believe in luck. Strong people believe in cause and effect. If your dream depends on winning the lottery, or getting discovered by someone famous, or the world magically changing to accommodate your desires, then you're not really dreaming at all. You're just fantasizing. A dream built on reality centers on three things you can actually control. First, your strengths. You've got to know what you're genuinely good at. Your greatest potential for success lives in your areas of natural talent. That doesn't mean you don't have to work hard, but it means your work produces the greatest results. Michael Jordan was arguably the greatest basketball player who ever lived. When he quit to play baseball, a sport outside his strength zone, he was completely mediocre. You can't build a world-class dream on average talent. Second, your habits. The secret to your success is literally found in your daily routine. A dream becomes reality through your daily actions, day after day after day. Are your habits actually aligned with your dream? You can't dream of being a marathon runner while smoking a pack of cigarettes daily. You can't dream of financial freedom while racking up mountains of credit card debt. Your habits are either taking you closer to your dream or dragging you further away from it. Excellence, as Aristotle pointed out, isn't a single act. It's a habit. And third, your potential. This is about aligning your strengths and your habits over the long haul. It's recognizing that you can't change where you start, but you absolutely can change where you end up. You do that by consistently investing in yourself in the areas that truly matter. So now you've got a dream that's genuinely yours, it's crystal clear, and it's firmly grounded in reality. What's the fuel that's actually going to get you there? This brings us to one of the most powerful forces in human achievement, the passion question. Does my dream compel me to follow it? Passion is the rocket fuel that makes dreams possible. It's the starting point of all real achievement. John Maxwell says he's never seen anyone achieve anything of genuine value without that spark of passionate desire burning inside them. Why is it so absolutely crucial? Because the road to any worthwhile dream is packed with obstacles, crushing disappointments, and moments where every fiber of your being wants to quit. Passion is what carries you through those brutal times. It's the fuel for the journey. As Steve Jobs put it, if you are working on something exciting that you really care about, you don't have to be pushed. The vision pulls you. Passion does 3 critical things for you. First, it pulls you up, enabling you to overcome adversity and setbacks. When things get rough, when you face seemingly impossible setbacks, passion is that inner fire that absolutely refuses to be extinguished. It's what makes you believe while everyone else is doubting, and persist while everyone else is throwing in the towel. Second, passion pushes you way out of your comfort zone. To achieve anything significant, you've got to take risks. You've got to be willing to look foolish and try things that might completely fail. Complacency kills dreams dead. Passion makes you unreasonable in the absolute best possible way. It gives you the courage to cross the threshold of your own doubt. And third, passion positions you perfectly for success. People's chances of success are directly proportional to how much pleasure they actually get from what they're doing. If you genuinely love what you're doing, you'll put in the hours without resentment. You'll push through the pain without complaining. You'll find a way to succeed no matter what. Consider the story of Bob Taylor, the founder of Taylor Guitars. As a kid, he was completely fascinated with 2 things: taking stuff apart to see how it worked, and guitars. In high school woodshop, he decided to build a 12-string guitar, a project even his teacher couldn't manage to complete. He did it successfully. After that moment, he knew exactly what he wanted to do with his entire life. He told his parents straight up, "I'm not going to college. I'm going to be a guitar builder." His mother actually cried. He started working in this tiny guitar shop. A year later, the owner decided to sell the business. Bob and 2 others scraped together enough to buy it. For the next 10 years, they struggled desperately. They barely made any money at all. There were times they literally couldn't even cash their own pathetically tiny paychecks because there was no money in the bank account. But Bob was happy because every single day he got to build guitars. He was living his dream, even when it wasn't paying the bills, even when it looked like total failure to everyone else. He says the only reason guitars needed to be sold was so that he could keep on making them. That's genuine passion right there. It's a love for the process itself, not just the outcome. Today, Taylor Guitars is one of the most successful and respected instrument makers in the entire world. That success was built on a decade of passion that refused to die even when there was absolutely no external reward. So how do you measure your own passion honestly? On a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is, "I'd rather have a root canal," and 10 is, "My passion is so blazing hot it sets other people on fire," where do you actually fall? Maxwell suggests that if you're not at least an 8, you probably don't have enough fuel for the long, hard journey ahead. A genuine willingness to sacrifice is the entry point. But passion, as powerful as it is, needs clear direction. You can't just run hard in random directions. You've got to run hard in the right direction. This brings us to the practical nuts and bolts part of the test, the pathway question. Do I have a strategy to reach my dream? It's genuinely sad when people don't have dreams at all, but it's equally heartbreaking when they have a dream but absolutely no strategy to reach it. They're like a ship with a powerful engine but no rudder whatsoever. All that incredible energy just goes to waste, spinning uselessly in circles. A dream without a strategy is nothing more than a wish. Hope is not a strategy, no matter how much we want it to be. The difference between a dreamer and an achiever is the ability to create an actual pathway from where you are right now to where you want to be eventually. It's about breaking down a big, overwhelming dream into small, manageable steps you can actually take. Maxwell uses the story of Nicholas Negroponte and the 1 laptop per child project. Negroponte had this massive dream. Create a low-cost, rugged laptop and get it into the hands of every child in the developing world. It was fundamentally a learning project, not just a laptop project. He had the vision, the passion, and the technical know-how to get the computer designed and manufactured successfully. But he slammed hard into a wall with the third part of his strategy, actually getting the laptops into children's hands. His initial plan was to sell millions of them directly to the governments of developing nations. He thought the idea was so obviously good, the orders would just pour in naturally. They didn't. Not even close. He had a genuinely great dream, but a seriously flawed strategy. What did he do? He didn't abandon the dream. He revised the plan intelligently. He recognized his team's weaknesses in sales and logistics and partnered with a company that had deep experience in those specific areas. He transitioned from being just a dreamer to becoming a strategic implementer. Your strategy is your how, and Maxwell offers a helpful acronym to build it: SECURE. State all your positions. Know your present position, where you are right now with brutal honesty, your future position, what your dream looks like when it's fully achieved, and all the positions in between, the small specific goals that will actually get you from here to there. Examine all your actions. You've got to do something concrete, and you've got to do something today that directly relates to your dream. The secret to your success is literally your daily agenda. What small step can you take right this minute? Consider all your options. A strategy isn't carved in stone. You've got to stay flexible. As General George Patton said, successful generals make plans to fit circumstances, but do not try to create circumstances to fit plans. Be willing to change your plan without changing your actual dream. Utilize all your resources. What do you actually have at your disposal right now? This includes your skills, your time, your money, and most importantly, your relationships and connections. Make an honest list of every asset you currently have. Remove all your non-essentials. To go up, you've got to give things up. Period. This is one of the absolute hardest parts of any strategy. It's not just about giving up obviously bad things. It's about giving up genuinely good things that just aren't helping you move toward your dream. You've got to focus your energy ruthlessly. Embrace all your challenges. Expect obstacles. Expect failures. It's absolutely part of the process, not some unfortunate deviation. Visualize yourself overcoming them successfully. Make failure your friend. Learn everything you can from it and then move on quickly. A pathway is what transforms your dream from imaginary to achievable. It's the sturdy bridge between your imagination and your reality. As you start building that pathway, you'll quickly realize something profound and slightly humbling. This leads us to the people question. Have I included the people I need to realize my dream? No dream worth having can possibly be accomplished alone. A dream, as one wise pastor told Maxwell, is a compelling vision in your heart that's simply too big to accomplish without the help of other people. Think about it for a second. Arnold Schwarzenegger had his idol Reg Park, his workout partner Franco Columbu, and his publicist working behind the scenes. Mike Hyatt had his entire team that bought into his audacious vision. Bob Taylor had his business partner Kurt Listug standing beside him. Nicholas Negroponte had his team of brilliant engineers and his distribution partners making it real. Your dream will either be completely impossible, an absolute nightmare, have genuine potential, or become inevitable, depending entirely on the team you build around you. So who exactly should be on your dream team? Maxwell suggests you need 3 distinct types of people. First, you need people who genuinely inspire you. These are your cheerleaders in the best sense. They're the ones who believe in you, sometimes even more fiercely than you believe in yourself. They lift you up when you're feeling down and encourage you to keep pushing forward. Second, you need people who are brutally honest with you. This might seem contradictory at first, but it's absolutely not. These aren't people who want to tear you down for sport. They're people who care enough about you to tell you the uncomfortable truth. They give you constructive feedback that actually helps. A dream that can't survive honest criticism is a dream that's unlikely to be achieved. It takes genuine humility to actively seek feedback, and real wisdom to act on it thoughtfully. And third, you need people whose skills naturally complement yours. You can't do everything yourself, no matter how talented you are. Successful people consistently surround themselves with individuals who are strong exactly where they are weak. Together, you accomplish far more than you could ever achieve alone. But it's not nearly enough to just know who you need. You've got to actually get them on board and invested. To do that successfully, you've got to transfer the vision. You've got to make them see what you see so clearly. This happens on 3 distinct levels. You must transfer the dream logically. People need to genuinely understand it. It has to make actual sense. You've got to show them that you understand the reality of the current situation and that you have a sound, reasonable strategy. You must transfer the dream emotionally. What people don't feel deep down, they simply won't buy into. You've got to connect with their hearts, not just their minds. Show them what's genuinely in it for them, but also show them your own heart and why this matters so much to you. And you must transfer the dream visually. Paint them a vivid, compelling picture. The most powerful picture of all is you, actually living the dream every single day. When people see with their own eyes what the dream has already done for you, it makes them want it too. Winston Churchill was an absolute master of this skill. Just before the D-Day invasion, he visited the troops who were about to storm the beaches. He knew they were terrified, understandably. He didn't give them some dry, logical speech full of statistics. He connected with them as human beings. He told them he remembered being afraid when he was a young soldier himself. Then, with actual tears in his eyes, he painted this incredible picture of significance. The fate of the free world rests on your shoulders. May this be your finest hour. He transformed a group of frightened soldiers into a band of heroes, ready to take on absolutely anything. That is the genuine power of a shared dream. Now, as you begin this journey with your assembled team, you'll face the harsh reality of what it truly takes to succeed. This is the cost question. Am I willing to pay the price for my dream? The dream itself is free. The journey to get there absolutely isn't. This is a question tons of people desperately want to avoid. They want the dream without any of the sacrifice. But there isn't a single person who has ever achieved a worthwhile dream without paying a significant price for it. The price must be paid way sooner than you think. The very moment you start moving toward your dream, conflict and crisis immediately arise. The price will be substantially higher than you initially expect. No one has ever said, "Getting to the top was so much easier than I thought it would be." And the price must be paid more than once. Every single time you want to reach a new level, you've got to give something up to get there. Maxwell tells this powerful story of his friend, Pastor Kevin Myers. Kevin had 2 dreams. One was to build a great church from absolute scratch. The other, a more personal dream, was to own a cruiser motorcycle someday. For years and years, his church struggled desperately. He poured all his money, and his entire family's money, into keeping it barely alive. It nearly broke him completely. Finally, the church started to actually grow. They needed to build their first real building. Around that same time, Kevin's mother passed away and left him a small inheritance, which he immediately used to finally buy his dream motorcycle. It was his escape, his therapy, his legal drug, as he called it. A few years later, the church had outgrown its space again and needed to raise millions for a new, much larger facility. Kevin knew, deep down, it was going to require real sacrifice from everyone involved. And he wrestled intensely for 3 solid months with what it was going to cost him personally. All he really had of any significant value was that motorcycle. It was a precious memento of his mother, a tangible symbol of freedom. He signed over the title and donated it to the building fund. He said that when he did, he felt a genuine personal loss, like a piece of him had been ripped away. But he also felt more deeply abandoned to the bigger dream than ever before in his life. He learned the critical difference between a mere desire and a true dream. You've got to be willing to sacrifice your desires for your dream. When his congregation saw his personal sacrifice, they finally understood what was being asked of them. They raised the money successfully. Today, his church is absolutely massive, serving thousands upon thousands of people every week. But it was built on a series of painful sacrifices, symbolized perfectly by one donated motorcycle. What are you genuinely willing to give up? You'll have to pay the price of harsh criticism, even from people you deeply love and respect. You'll have to pay the price of overcoming your deepest fears. And you'll definitely have to pay the price of relentless hard work. Dreams simply don't work unless you do. There are, however, some prices that are way too high to pay. Maxwell warns clearly that you should never sacrifice your health, your family, or your core values. A dream that costs you your soul isn't actually a dream at all. It's a nightmare dressed up in attractive clothes. This difficult journey, absolutely packed with costs and challenges, requires a special kind of inner strength. It's the quality that clearly separates the starters from the finishers. This is the tenacity question. Am I moving closer to my dream? Perseverance has two simple rules. Rule 1, take one more step forward. Rule 2, when you honestly can't take one more step, refer back to Rule 1. That's tenacity in a nutshell. It's the iron will to keep going, even when you're utterly convinced you can't possibly take another step. The story of Elizabeth Keckley is one of the most powerful pictures of pure tenacity you'll ever encounter. Born into brutal slavery in 1818, she endured absolutely unimaginable hardship, abuse, and heartache. She was told repeatedly she would never be worth her salt, never amount to anything. But Elizabeth was genuinely tenacious to her core. She learned to read and write when it was practically forbidden. She became a highly skilled dressmaker through sheer determination. When she was moved to a town where she actually saw free black women running their own successful businesses, a dream of freedom and entrepreneurship was born deep within her heart. When she finally gathered the courage to ask her owner about buying her freedom, he refused flatly, but she absolutely wouldn't give up on it. The hope of a brighter future was simply too strong to abandon. Finally, when the family fell on seriously hard times, her owner named his price. $1, $200, an absolutely astronomical sum back then. It didn't stop her for a second. With the help of the high society women she made beautiful dresses for, she painstakingly raised the money over time. On November 13, 1855, Elizabeth Keckley officially bought her freedom, but that was only half the dream realized. She moved to Washington, D.C., and built a flourishing dressmaking business from nothing. Her ultimate goal was to work for the ladies of the White House itself. Within just a year, she became the exclusive dressmaker and closest confidant to the First Lady, Mary Todd Lincoln. She faced obstacles that would have absolutely crushed most people into dust. But her tenacity was stronger than any obstacle. She recognized this crucial truth. Quitting is way more about who you are on the inside than where you are on the outside. Obstacles don't actually stop people. People stop themselves. Tenacity means you keep going long after the initial enthusiasm fades away. You keep going when the passion naturally cools down. You keep going when the odds are stacked impossibly against you. You just keep taking one more step forward. As you walk this long, difficult, sometimes lonely path, there's a question that determines whether the journey itself is actually worthwhile. It's the fulfillment question. Does working toward my dream bring satisfaction? Achieving a dream is about so much more than just what you ultimately accomplish. It's fundamentally about who you become in the process of pursuing it. A truly great dream isn't just a destination you're trying to reach. It's the catalyst for a great journey. And if that journey is right for you, then even if you don't fully reach the destination you imagined, the trip itself will have been completely worth it. There's always a significant gap between the birth of a dream and its ultimate achievement. The real question is, will it be a fulfillment gap or a frustration gap? If you genuinely hate the daily process, if the work brings you absolutely no joy whatsoever, you're extremely unlikely to stick with it long enough to succeed. The journey itself has to be genuinely satisfying to you. Consider Jacqueline Novogratz. She had a successful, high-paying career in international banking on Wall Street. She had everything most people would consider success. But she kept seeing the injustice of writing off millions in loans to wealthy people, while the desperately poor had absolutely no access to credit at all. It didn't fulfill her soul in any way. So she quit her prestigious job. She went to Africa with a burning desire to help the poorest of the poor in practical ways. She combined her sharp business skills with her genuine heart for people, and eventually launched the Acumen Fund, a non-profit venture fund that strategically invests in businesses that serve the poor in developing nations. She's not just handing out charity that creates dependency. She's building sustainable enterprises that empower people to solve their own problems with dignity. The work is incredibly hard and frustrating. It's a long, slow, painful process. But it's deeply, profoundly fulfilling to her. To find that same kind of fulfillment in your own journey, you've got to understand a few critical things. First, understand the real difference between the ideal version of your dream and its actual realization. The perfect version in your head simply isn't achievable in reality, because life is inherently messy and unpredictable. You've got to embrace the imperfect reality without losing heart. Second, understand clearly that the size of the dream directly determines the size of the gap you'll have to cross. If you have a truly massive dream, expect a massive, difficult journey to get there. And third, you absolutely must learn to appreciate each small step forward along the way. The legendary basketball coach John Wooden won more championships than almost anyone in history. But when someone asked him what single day he would want to live over again if he could, he didn't pick any championship game. He said he'd want to conduct one more day of regular practice. For him, the genuine joy wasn't in winning the prize. It was in the daily journey itself. The process was its own reward. The greatest value of your dream isn't ultimately what you get from achieving it. It's who you become by faithfully pursuing it. And that brings us to the final and absolutely most important question of all. It's the one that elevates a personal ambition into a lasting legacy that outlives you. The significance question. Does my dream benefit others? A dream isn't truly worthy of your one precious life if it doesn't benefit anyone except you. The great men and women throughout history aren't remembered for what they earned or owned or accumulated. They're remembered because they gave themselves completely to causes that lived on long after they were gone. The story of William Wilberforce is a breathtaking example of a life dedicated entirely to a significant dream. Born into wealth and privilege in 18th century England, Wilberforce was brilliant, charming, and eloquent beyond measure. He was elected to Parliament at just 21 years old. He admitted himself that for the first few years, his only real object was his own distinction and advancement. He was ambitious, but completely directionless. Then, a profound spiritual awakening changed absolutely everything about how he saw the world. He was filled with an overwhelming desire to use his privileged position to address the great social injustices of his day. And the greatest injustice of all, the one that haunted him, was the British slave trade. At the time, Britain's entire economy was deeply, systemically dependent on this absolutely brutal practice. Most people were either completely unaware of its horrors or they accepted it as a necessary evil for prosperity. Wilberforce, utterly horrified by what he learned, dedicated his entire life to its complete abolition. He genuinely believed that if he could just show people the undeniable truth, they would immediately vote to end this evil. He was completely wrong. For 20 long, brutal years, he fought tirelessly in Parliament. He and his dedicated allies presented overwhelming evidence of the slave trade's unspeakable brutality. They launched one of the very first public awareness campaigns in history, using poems, songs, and powerful images to sway public opinion. 11 separate times they brought a bill for abolition to Parliament, pouring their hearts into it, and 11 times it was defeated, shot down. He could have given up 1,000 times, but he was driven by a dream that was so much bigger than himself or his own comfort. He knew the lives and dignity of millions of people were at stake. Finally, on February 23, 1807, the bill to abolish the slave trade actually passed. It was the first stage of his lifelong dream realized. The second stage was achieved 26 years later, just 3 days before he died, when slavery itself was finally outlawed throughout the entire British Empire. His dream didn't just free countless people from physical chains, it fundamentally changed the world's moral understanding. It established the revolutionary idea that a society has a deep responsibility to help the poor and suffering, not just exploit them. Most of us naturally move through phases in life. First, we want to do something significant for ourselves. We have to build a foundation, put on our own oxygen mask, before we can help others breathe. Then, we reach a crucial crossroads, where we want to do something significant for others. This is the profound shift from success to significance. And finally, the ultimate dream is to do something significant with others, building a community around a cause that adds real value to the world. A dream that only benefits you will be forgotten 5 minutes after you're gone, but a dream that genuinely benefits others can live on for generations. It can literally change the world for the better. That is the final and most profound test of whether a dream is truly worthy of your life. As we look back on these 10 powerful questions, what's the thread that ties them all together into a coherent whole? It's a journey of complete transformation. It starts with an internal look. Is this dream genuinely mine? Is it crystal clear? Is it grounded in reality? Then it moves to the fuel you'll need: passion, cost, and tenacity. And finally, it expands outward, with a practical pathway, a supportive team, and a purpose that's bigger than ourselves. The most powerful lesson in Put Your Dream to the Test isn't just about achieving some external goal you can put on your resume. It's fundamentally about the person you absolutely must become to make that dream a reality. You have to become more self-aware, more disciplined, more resilient, more generous with your gifts. The dream is a crucible that forges your character in the fire. In a world that constantly encourages us to take the easy path, to settle for comfortable average, this book is a compelling call to something so much more. It reminds us that mediocrity is actually a choice we make every day, and that the poorest person in the world isn't the one without a nickel to their name. It's the person without a dream to pursue. The beauty of these 10 questions is their refreshing practicality. They take the lofty, abstract idea of following your dream and break it down into a tangible, actionable process. They force you to be brutally honest with yourself in ways that are uncomfortable but necessary. Answering no to one of these questions doesn't mean you should give up on your dream entirely. It means you've found a weak spot in your foundation, and now you know exactly where you need to get to work. So what can you actually do with this today, right now? Let's make it really simple. Pick just one of the 10 questions that resonated with you the most deeply. Maybe it's the clarity question. Take just 15 minutes today, exactly like Mike Hyatt did, and write down a detailed, specific vision of your dream. Don't worry at all about the how yet. Just get the what down on paper clearly. Or maybe it's the pathway question. Think of one small, tangible action you can take today that will move you even just 1 inch closer to your dream. It doesn't have to be some giant leap forward, just a single step in the right direction. Or perhaps it's the significance question that struck a chord. Think deeply about how the dream you're pursuing could genuinely benefit one other person. How can you shift your focus, just slightly, from what you can get to what you can give? A dream, as John Maxwell teaches us so clearly, comes a size too big so that we can grow into it over time. These 10 questions are the practical roadmap for that growth. They're a genuine gift, a guide to help you build a life that's not just successful by the world's standards, but fulfilling and significant by your own. That was our deep dive into Put Your Dream to the Test by John C. Maxwell. We've journeyed through the core ideas together today, but I'll be honest with you. A summary is like looking at a map of a beautiful country. The real magic happens when you actually travel there yourself. It's in those quiet moments when a particular story or a simple phrase in the book hits you in a way you didn't expect, in a way that changes something inside you. This summary is designed to help you decide if this book is worth your time and attention. If anything we've talked about today has sparked something in you, I really encourage you to grab a copy for yourself. Reading it isn't just about learning some new concepts. It's an experience that can genuinely change how you see yourself and the path stretching out ahead of you. The link to the book is in the description below. Also, if you found this summary valuable and it gave you a fresh perspective on your own dreams, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. That way, you won't miss our next journey into another life-changing book from the billionaire's bookshelf. Let's keep growing together, one book at a time.